Hey guys, so welcome back to Indirect Knowledge. So tonight we have a very special tarot card reading, and this reading is for Esther. Now, Esther, she's been kind of texting this guy, and I'm not going to mention his name just because I want to protect his privacy, but also to protect her privacy as well. Too many names, and people can sometimes start putting two and two together in that, and well, we just want to protect people's privacy on this channel in the best way that we can. So sometimes we use aliases, sometimes we use just first names, sometimes we just use initials if someone has a rather, uncommon first name. But anyways, Esther is in a separation with this person and seems to have caught some feelings for this person and that. But now she's kind of wondering if with this relationship, is it going to progress? Is it going to move forward? Or she's just kind of curious, maybe it wasn't really meant to be. And so the nature of this reading is to really bring forward some answers to kind of figure things out, to kind of look and see what the future has in store for this relationship, and maybe some advice that could be lent to her about this relationship and so on and so forth, to just kind of get some, if nothing more, just spread some light on the subject. So we'll just shuffle the cards here for a bit. I've already shuffled them a lot. A lot. So, like shuffling the spots off these cards, you guys. It's been a night. I've done a lot of tarot card readings tonight, and it's been a very, very psychic night for me. Just kind of in my zone here. As most of you guys know, I'm a monk, and we just kind of live a very simple life, take a vow of poverty, and this is just one of the service works that I do for people and anyone actually. So when I was a small child, I told this story before on the channel, but I guess it just kind of brings some clarity to the situation. But when I was a small child, I had these neighbors that lived up the road, and I got this. I had this dream that they were going to pass away in a car accident from an oncoming vehicle that was going to hit them. And when I woke up from the nightmare, it's the middle of the day. It wasn't even dark outside when I woke up. I just had so much heavy energy on me that it just literally knocked me out. And I just had to take an afternoon nap. And when I woke up, I was a little bit dehydrated, and then I can recall, and very, very panic stricken. Like I knew it was going to happen. And so I went to my mother, I went to my brother, and I explained to them the situation, and they were just kind of being reassuring. They felt bad for me for having the nightmare, but they said, no, everything's going to be fine. It's just a nightmare. You have nothing to worry about, and this, that, and the other. Well, a couple of weeks later, exactly, pretty much to the T, how I described the nightmare is exactly what happened, and those neighbors passed away, and they were sure enough hit by an oncoming vehicle, and it was verified and everything, and it was very traumatic for me at such a young age. But I went at that time off to an ESP school to get some more insight and more perspective on this gift, and to learn how to use it in a better way, and to kind of harness the skill set and stuff as a child, because children can be very psychic. Oftentimes children pick up on things that adults just don't. A lot of that has to do with our unconscious mind versus our conscious mind, but there's a whole school of research and different things that are behind this that continue to this day. A lot of metaphysical research is becoming more and more at the forefront of things, and we're learning more and more all the time. Is it there yet? Probably not. But as a monk, I pretty much take a pretty spiritual and yet realistic approach to life. I have practical advice, and try to help people in the best way practically that I can. But as I've gotten older and over the years, this gift that I have been given has continued to increase and grow over time. So as a result of that, I of course, I feel it my duty, my honor actually, to serve others, by giving the gift back and that. And so that's essentially why I do the things that I do, is because I like serving others, and that's part of our work that we do as monks here. So anyways, that aside, let's get right into the tarot card reading. Just going to shuffle these up just another moment so I can zero back in on what I was doing with this to find out exactly if this relationship is going to work out. Is it going to fall flat? What can we bring to the table here? I'm just going to cut the cards, and I'll go ahead and lay them out. Okay, so with the past of this relationship and everything, we have the Page of Wands. Pages are messengers, so they bring messages. And this particular one brings a new idea, brings a message of a new idea, a new spark. Something happens that brought into this relationship in the first place, and it kind of brought things to where things were coming into play at. So it's sort of this idea, like kind of a gift of an idea that this page gives us. And the wands are about action, so it's about acting on ideas, acting on things that come to us. And that's essentially what was in the past, the near past, actually. So in the current moment, it's about strength right now. The strength teaches us, strength is sort of like this idea of us conquering our mind. And sometimes we need to do that. We have situations that come into our life, and we really need to get a hold of those ideas and make sense of them, and to be able to go, move past the ideas or the limitations of those ideas in order to achieve, greater good in our life, greater financial abundance, and so on and so forth. So for us, with this particular card, it's about conquering our mind. And for one who's conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who's failed to do so, the mind will be the greatest enemy. That comes from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 6. It's a spiritual Indian text, if you haven't heard of it. And if you want a copy, if you like that kind of thing, you can go to indirectknowledge.com, and you can get a copy of the Bhagavad Gita as it is. It's a really good book, really good rendition. But this card is about strength. It's about, you see the infinity. Infinity often represents someone who could be a soulmate. The lion here represents strength, but it's about outward strength. And the young woman here could be an angel even. She represents kind of that internal strength, what's inside of us. She's able to pacify any external strength or danger or threat that comes her way, because she has enough faith and enough, surety in herself that she doesn't have anything to worry about. So she's able to pacify that wild animal there, the inner wild child. So this just in terms of how it relates to everything, it's right now with the relationship, it's basically saying you got to have a little mental fortitude right now. You have to take some time and just be strong with this, and get a hold of your mind. Don't let the outside dictate what's on the inside, but rather take your mind and make friends with it, and don't let it control you, but rather control the mind. So real strength is taming your feelings and thought. So if you can get a hold of your feelings and get a hold of your thought and tame them, that's really the inner strength that this card is really talking about. This also has a Roman numeral 8, which is all about groundedness. And, it's all about abundance and, safety, security, those kind of things, which makes sense with the context of the lion there and everything. But when you have this, you have a lot of, you're in a good position. I mean, you have a lot of a good foundation for things to come about. And then that infinity sign too, that's like, usually when that comes up, especially in this kind of position, it's about your soulmate. So this person could very well be your soulmate. The next card that we have is the near future now, guys. I'm calibrated to about 3 months out. And so depending on the energy of this card, I can kind of give you a more precise timeline in terms of what you can expect and when. So let's look at the card for a minute. This is the Queen of Wands. If you look at that, now wands themselves are really about creative action or moving things forward, the sparking of an idea, taking something and running with it, but really doing. It's the act of doing. Queens, on the other hand, are really about influence. And if you see the sunflower, though, the sun is really coming down on this queen. So it's really favorable to this queen, like making everything illuminated, shining everything out, making everything transparent. And the sunflower, like you notice the reason we know the sun is shining on the queen is because the sunflower's there, and sunflowers tend to point in the direction of the sun naturally. So we see this as kind of a good omen. The sun is one of the best cards in the deck, and this is one of the better queens. It's, if you take action and you do things, then you tend to have pretty positive results. And this queen is really about creative influence. She's influencing. She's able to charm and to bring out the passion in others. But she's really up and about all the time, And that's what she does. She just kind of influences with her charm and her passion and, getting people behind her ideas. And in other words, she's able to get people to take action and stuff just by kind of her charm and her own acts of doing. So when other people see her doing things, they can't wait but to also jump in and come on board with her plan of action and to start taking action likewise. Now, if you notice this particular queen, on her throne, she's actually got 2 lions on each side. That's interesting because we also have the strength card that precedes this card, which also has a lion in it. So there's like 3 lions and all together and stuff like that. So that's really a double dose of strength that's required for this relationship and everything. Now, let's look at that strength card a little deeper. What's really going on with it? Well, the strength card is predicated on this card here. This card here is the 9 of Wands, and the 9 of Wands is really about, wands that we talked about a minute ago. They are representing like action and doing things. And there's a lot of action going on in this particular situation. And this guy's pretty beat up. He's leaning on this here staff, this wand, and he doesn't know if he's going to go forward or backwards and stuff. But this person has the resolve to continue forward, and been through a lot. There's been a lot of ups and downs with this relationship and stuff, but this person is pretty much made up their mind. That even though they may have a few last minute challenges or tests or this and that they've been beaten up pretty bad, they're still very ready and willing to continue the fight and keep that resolve going and follow through and persevere. And so that's really what this strength is really all about. So you may have had some ups and downs with this relationship. Keep your resolve strong because you've come too far to give up. And that's what this is really all about. He very well could be your soulmate. Now, let's look at really where you're at with everything and kind of just get a kind of more of a perspective on kind of where you see the outcome headed or what your attitude about everything is with this guy and everything. We have the Page of Cups. So we had the Page of Wands earlier. Now we have the Page of Cups. Page of Wands was way, way back in the past, or not way back in the past, but relatively in the near past. And now we see kind of where you're at with everything is this card. And this is sort of a reflection of you and where your mind is at. Now, Cups are about relationships, of course. They're also about emotions and feelings and things. And Pages are also about, like we said before, it's really, they're messengers. They bring us messages. And in this case, it's a message of trusting our intuition and, trusting our feelings and our emotions and different things, and and just having that in there. So it's an intuitive message, or really a message that kind of creates sort of this emotional response within you, and it makes you feel something, and that's what this message is really all about. Is it's one of making you feel something, and like you said before, through texting and different things, you've really kind of felt something here, and you're feeling it. That's good, because this person could be your soulmate. Now let's look at kind of where the outcome lies. So now we're on the last third of this reading. 2 more cards to go. The next card is the outcome card, and the outcome card is the Knight of Swords. Knight of Swords is kind of how you progress with your goals. Knights, they're all about movement, moving things forward, taking action. They're kind of like the wands kind of energy. In fact, they are. And then, look at that horse. He's charging off into battle and stuff like that, fearlessly, capable of doing all kinds of, successful, and the sword there is all about the mental. It's about things in his mind. His mind is fixed. He's ready to go. He's moving things forward. So with this, it's kind of like I said, it's like how you progress with your goals, and that mental movement of your ideas, movement of your thoughts, moving your thoughts forward, kind of more or less kind of going after your goals, really without thinking about anyone else. Oftentimes when this card comes up, it's, we get set in our ways, we sort of become super fixed on our resolve, and we do things without, we know what's best, so we don't have to ask anybody for advice or anything. We trust ourselves enough that we're there, and we just kind of act without thinking, because at this point, we've kind of gotten beyond our thinking. And that's really the outcome with this. It's just, the outcome is already there. We already know what's going to happen with this. You're fixing your resolve. You're moving forward. Full speed ahead. How do we get there, though? How do we make that happen? How do we, get to that level of inner faith, and, letting go of our critical thinking and our doubt and our disbelief and all these kind of things, or any of these things that are mentally plaguing us? How do we get rid of that mind stuff, that monkey chatter, mind chatter, whatever you want to call it? Well, in this particular reading, in this particular case, we have the 4 of Cups. Okay, now the cups, the proverbial hand, they're handing out the cup. With this particular card, 4 of Cups is really about uncertainty. It's about, it's kind of like decision time. It's time to make a decision. With this particular card, you notice this person's got their arms crossed like this. They're not really accepting or doing anything. They're just kind of there in this meditative state, kind of underneath the tree. They're kind of fixed in their resolve. Almost makes me think of like Gautama Siddhartha, the Buddha, who's just sitting underneath that tree, arms crossed, and he's resolved. He's not, until he gets liberated, he's not moving. And that's that firm resolve and stuff that's really going on with this card. In this card, you might be bored, thinking about the future. You might be feeling some negative, some disappointment in the situation, or maybe the person in general, or whatever the end result is that you're kind of thinking could be the case. But when this card comes up, it really sort of signals a pause. This is sort of like, in order to get this action happening and to just be able to move forward without doubting, without questioning, without worrying, without panic, without hesitation or reservation, that's where this 4 of Cups really comes into play at. What do we need to do? We need to pause. So right now, it's good. Right now, exactly where you're at is exactly where you need to be. So, like you guys said, you're kind of taking a break and stuff from the relationship. It's a good break. It's teaching you a lot of things. And when the break is over, that's when your resolve and action and everything else will start to take full effect. And you will just continue to get out there and move things forward. So here's the thing, though. before we get there, before we move all of that stuff forward and everything, let me just share a couple of things, that I pick up, that I get with you here. First of all, a little monkly advice, not motherly advice, but monk advice, Here's the thing, and this is just, you got to understand, from a monk's perspective, things are a little bit different, but I don't know if this will resonate with you or not, but I do feel a little compelled to share this with you, so I think I will. We have kind of this, it's kind of an understanding of love, if you will, sort of a philosophy of love, a definition of love. The monks, me, we. And essentially what it entails is, love is, the way we define love is this concept of bhakti. It's an old ancient Sanskrit word, but basically it's about devotional service. So let's talk about those two parts for just a moment. We have devotion, and then we have service. So service is serving. Devotion is being completely devoted to an ideal, an object of our affection, God, a person, anything for that matter. Whatever we give our attention to, that's where we put our energy into. So in this particular case, this relationship, for example, is this something that you really want to put a lot of time and attention and energy into? Right now you're taking a break to get more perspective on things, and that's a really good place to be. But what is the secret to relationships? How do you make a relationship last forever? We hear so many instances of people getting divorced or relationships going south, and how do you make them last? I mean, what is really the key ingredient to making them last? Well, the key ingredient is love, but how do we define love? Well, that's a good question. People define it differently. And excuse me, I'm just going to get comfortable here. This might turn into a minute of conversation. But I just want to kind of get personal here for just a minute. So, all right, so this is it. How do we define love? So we define love by devotional service. So how does that mean? So it's like selfless service. They have another Sanskrit word called seva. It's called service. It's action. And seva is really selfless service. It's doing things from the heart, not from the mind or out of expectation, or not because someone expects us to do something, or it's just the right thing to do, or any of those kind of things. It's just because it's 100% from the heart that we're doing things. If you do things in a nice way for people from the heart and not for any other reason, you don't really experience resentment. When you do experience resentment or hard feelings or anything like that, it's because you're doing things out of resentment and you're not doing them from the heart. And so us monks, we always tell people, we ask people to help donate and stuff because we take vows of poverty, and basically our entire lives are spent in service to others and doing nice things for others and helping society and spreading this message of love for God to others and all these kind of things, right? It may not matter to you or anyone else, but that's kind of our own microcosm. That's what our mission is. That's what we feel compelled to do, and so that's what we do. Fair enough. But in doing that, we always tell people, don't donate if it's not in your heart, because we don't want you to feel or experience resentment, because that causes you pain and suffering. And we don't want people to feel pain and suffering. I mean, our whole mission is to help people avoid that, right? So, and that's one of the big caveats, it's one of the big things. Yeah. Could we use extra resources, money, and things like that? We need basic, basic needs met, for the monks, but also for the people that we serve, the society that we serve. And so the best way to serve is to have the more resources. The more resources we have, the greater good we can do, right? But if we hurt someone in the process of magnifying those resources, then it's not it's done more harm than it has good, because the very premise based on what we're doing is to get the good out and to help people, as many people as we possibly can. People who give may feel a sense of gladness in their heart doing that. It may really help them in a lot of ways. And in that way, we're serving them by giving them the opportunity to serve. Likewise, the people that we use those resources to help, they may benefit from those resources, get themselves to a better mental place, a better physical place, a better, living in situation, whatever the situation involves. And it's different for different people and different, situations that we serve within. But those people may benefit as well. So in this way, everyone is really benefiting, and it's our mission to help, and that's part of our benefit as well. So we benefit by serving, which is one of the tenets of our belief system. Again, from the heart. If we do it not from the heart, then, we will experience resentment, and, it's an ugly situation, an ugly business. And that's not what we're about. It's not a utopian idea or anything like that. It's just a really nice way of thinking about this concept of love, of service, serving others. So why service, and what makes it so powerful as far as the glue in a relationship? Let's talk about that for just a minute. Let's just ask a question here. How do you make yourself, how do you make it so that the relationship never ends and that this person never, ever wants to leave you or even thinks about being with anybody else? Are you thinking that it's impossible? Well, a lot of people do. The way that you achieve that is through service. Let me explain. When you serve someone more than anyone else serves that person, it creates a really tight bond, like a glue, like we talked about. And it also does something else. It creates a natural attraction towards you, the person doing the service. So, case in point, if I take $100, maybe someone donates $100 to the monks, and say I take $100 and I go out and there's someone in need. They have no money, no resources. They need food, they need this, they need that, and everything else. Say I take this money and I buy them some groceries with that money, maybe a razor or something. Maybe they need a shave or something. I probably need a shave. And I help them in a lot of different ways, consistently over a few days. Now, let's just assume that out of that $100, I basically spend that $100 serving that person, really helping them. I get them food, I'm cooking food for them nicely. We're giving them a place to stay. We're sharing music, sharing love with them, all these great things, and you give them a really positive experience. And it's such a positive experience that the individual just can't think of being anywhere else. And they've not experienced this kind of love in their life before, at least not on the scale that we're able to serve them. And they realize that we're not out to ask anything from them. We want nothing from them. We just, it's just part of our mission. It's what we do. We serve. And they really feel that, and they really sense that. We become very attractive. So what can sometimes happen in this type of situation is that, they want to commit themselves 100% to doing the same thing. And they want to become a monk, or, they want to continue to help us, help other people, or they start to give back at some point. But they become very attached to us, which I'm not saying is necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, as far as spiritual development goes. But they become very attached to our mission and what we're doing in terms of helping others. And then they start to contribute in that same direction. And that causes kind of a ripple effect or a domino effect. And as it happens, the little bit of good that we did with that $100 now transitions into that individual going out and doing so much more good for others, just from that $100 donation that somebody kindly gave to help support what we've got going on. And now this person sees us as like, someone who really cares about them, that loves them, that has their best interest at heart. And in life, sometimes that's a very rare commodity, this kind of love that we have. But that's my point, is if you serve this person more than you serve yourself or you serve anyone else, then that will create a ripple effect in the relationship. This person will be very, very attracted to you, love you very, very much. And this person will not be able to be with you, if that makes sense. I mean, they will be so attached to you. This glue will be such a strong bond that this person could very well be your soulmate. So that's kind of like how monks perceive love, at least our order anyway. I hope that this benefits you in some capacity. My advice to you would be a little experiment. Take your pause, really think about everything that I'm sharing with you here, but don't just take my word for it. Maybe put it into action a little bit, test it, see if it works for you. If it does, great. If it doesn't, no harm done, I would suppose. Just really start to put it out there that your mission is to serve this person relentlessly. I mean, give 199.999%. Give more than anybody else has ever given this person. I mean, serve this person in such a way that this person has never been served before. Love this person more than anyone has ever loved this person. And watch and see what happens. Do you think that this person is just going to ignore you and stand idly by while you slip off into the distance? No. What will happen, I don't want to spoil the reward here of doing the experiment, but what will happen is over time, and it'll take a little bit of time, but over time, this person will become more and more attracted to you. And the more attracted they become, the less able they will be to be with anyone else besides you. Why? Because at the end of the day, no one is going to serve them the way that you serve them. That's the power of service. That's the power of love. It's really, truly the glue that binds or it creates a union. And in yoga, that's what this is all about. It's like yoga means to yoke together, to union, to bring together. That's what all of this is about. It's about bringing together this relationship for you, if that's what you want. But you have to ask yourself, and that's why the pause is here, to what degree do you want to be with this person? How much do you want to love this person? How much do you want to serve this person? And if the answer is, well, no, I want this person to serve me, that's not really the love there. That's where the resentment starts to come into play at. So if this person has expectations of you, and then you're just like, well, I'm not doing that for you. I'm not going to help you with that. You're here to help me. It's the other way around. If you think that love is about the other person, what they can do for you, we got a little work to do with you. But if on the other hand, you say, no, it's not about what they do for me. I don't care if they ever do anything for me. It is not about that at all. I'm not here as someone that wants to get. I'm here as someone that truly wants to give. And that's my mission. That's what I'm all about. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys have gotten some message of hope from this video, and I hope it helped out in some capacity. I love you all for watching, and much love and many blessings. Again, if you guys want to help support the monks and us spreading love for God, you can do that. Just go to helpbydonating.com. I'll have that website in the description below this video. Again, it's just helpbydonating.com if you're more of an auditory person. And then I'll have my email below as well. It's just chandra108@gmail.com, 108@gmail.com. But I'll put that in the description below this video, and then you can connect with me, reach out to me if you need anything. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of Indirect Knowledge. It's been a lot of fun here. Much love, many blessings. See you guys on the next episode.